What's up, everybody? Welcome. It's time for a little Orange Bloods Live. I'm Jeff Ketchum. That is Chad Hastings. He likes to point. What can we say? It was his dream as a child that one day he would grow up and have a job that just allows him to point in directions. It's pretty cool. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, get notifications, all that stuff. Jump into these specs, chat it up live with us. You can send super chats. Those aren't sponsored, but they do come at a little bit of a cost. We'll be talking about college football playoff rankings. We did that last night. Chad, we do start off today with, at the end of the day, the inspiration behind all of this comes from stats that the Texas SID office provided. I feel like that needs to be.
Especially since the coach is apparently jumping in to ask us at the beginning, Coach, this all comes from your SID information, so you know, as we get started.
Like on the front page of the notes section.
Yeah.
It says the Sarkeesian file, and somebody and what's funny is somebody posted the screenshot that I ultimately used in our team's channel and didn't really add any commentary to it. And so like the graphic has a bunch of stuff. It's overall record at night, record during the day, record on natural I mean, it's just it's like Sarkeesian's entire career resume, both at Texas and overall. It's by month. For instance, did you know that he is 6-4 in December as a head coach, 2-2 at Texas? It's just an information data dump.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that it has is Steve Sarkeesian's record against unranked teams, top 25 teams, top 20 teams, top 15 teams, top 10 teams, top 5 teams.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why that stood out to me was a couple of weeks ago, I was doing something. I must have been trying to find a coach's record, some coach's record against ranked teams. Mm-hmm. Can't remember what, but it led me to a link on Reddit. It's the only time I've ever seen somebody have an article or something like that with a database of stats of all coaches in all time with their records broken down exactly like that, right? It was like, oh, I saw somebody else do that where it's not just top 25, top 5, top 10. It's really nerdy when it's like top record against the top 15. I've been doing this, Chad, for 25 plus years. No one has ever asked me to ever look at the rankings in a way where it's like, well, yeah. But what about top 15?
No one does that. You're right. That's fair.
Just once upon a time, there only was 20 teams in the rankings. So that used to kind of matter, but now it doesn't.
Yeah, I like the 3 tiers that you set up, which is, are you ranked at all? And then we like to talk about top 10 matchups because those feel a little more important. And then obviously top 5. It's cream of the crop stuff, right? When you have a top 5 matchup, we've talked about the Texas OU versions of those. Like, they're just special.
And one of the things this other set of rankings did that Texas didn't do, and so I didn't do it either, they actually had the records, if you look, of coaches against number 1 teams.
Oh, dear God. No coach in the world wants to see that.
I think Saban's record against teams ranked number 1 is pretty good.
I'm about to say there may be right. Saban might say, okay, let's look at the numbers.
Saban's got some weird stats where you're just like, Jesus, Nick, what are you doing to everybody?
I think it'd be great if you looked at Nick's numbers and that number actually you couldn't find it because like, oh, he never faced number 1. He was always number 1. Yeah.
So I pulled up the stuff that I had found on Reddit, and then we were just kind of talking about it, and I don't know, some context of like where all of this sits amongst his peers kind of came up in my head as like, well, what does it mean? Like, what does Brent Venables' record look like? Things I hadn't thought about before. I found myself asking, what was Jimbo's record? Both at Florida State, what was it like at A&M? I ended up going through Jimbo's resume, and I think it was the 2021 season where he went like 0-for-5 against ranked teams, or maybe it was 19. I don't know. It was something that I had no reason to file that away in my head, but I was like, oh, that's bad for the overall record when you go 0-for-5er in an entire season.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen very often. Things that I learned because I went season by season by season. over basically every current relevant head coach, with the exception of like a Matt Campbell. I didn't do Kirk at Iowa. I left the Iowa guys alone. Right. I basically was like, if your team's been in the playoffs or is in the SEC or in the top 20 of the playoff rankings, I'll check you out. Yeah. By the way, Marcus Freeman's record is really impressive, and I did not know that, Chad.
That one stood out, although I did know that his start at Notre Dame, they'll put it historically up against some of their big dog coaches, and you kind of have to throw the respect out. Like, oh, God, I didn't know he was doing that. But, he's got to. He
doesn't have enough games yet to qualify, but if you looked at his winning percentage right now against like just the top 25, better than John McKay, better than Bud Wilkinson, better than Tom Osborne, better than Bear Bryant.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's impressive stuff. It is impressive stuff. And by the way, everybody hit that QR code up in the top left. If you have not joined orangebloods.com yet and you want to, you can find all kinds of cool stuff, including all this information that Ketch looked up. That is where you can see it on a post, clear as day.
It's not pretty. And what I don't want this to do is to turn into a show where it was like, we created a show where we were just going to bash Steve Sarkisian. Not really our intent. Again, the SID started us. This all started with John Bianco's office.
Yeah, that's true. And real quick,
I promise.
Somebody's asking Ketch about Elko. I don't remember seeing his name in your info. Did you have Elko in there or not?
I did. Elko is against top 25 teams. He's 5-6, 455. So that's just above Heupel, Sark, Lane Kiffin.
Okay.
It's not elite. It's not even it's kind of middle of the pack. His record against top 10 teams, it kind of falls. Where did I see? Hold on. No, he actually is 5th in the country against top 10 teams. He's 4-3, so he's got a 571 record.
Okay.
The only coaches above him are Swinney, Day, Kirby, and DeBoer. And then against top 5 teams, he's last. Elko's got a weird
shelf.
Weird, like it's a roller coaster. He's literally 17th, and he ranks behind James Franklin against records against top 5 opponents.
Wow.
Because he's only played 2 and he's 0-2. So he's the only coach that has no wins against top 5 teams.
Interesting. Okay. Sandman, thank you for the question.
So, I just want to know here's the headline if you're a Texas fan, really, because I've had a bunch of Texas people who were like, you shouldn't even count the games that happened at Washington. And it was like, well, everybody's games for everybody counts. It's like, that's how this worked.
He was the head coach.
It's head coaching records.
Right.
And I didn't go through Mac Brown's record book and go, well, those first couple of years at North Carolina, I shouldn't have.
You should have.
I'm not the Wizard of Oz.
You should be.
And if we're going to be completely honest, I needed this to be done in a couple of hours. This was unplanned. This was ad-libbed. This doesn't happen if that post doesn't show up on our team's channel. I was like, you know what? I've got a couple of hours to work on this, but it's not worth more than that.
Yeah, and with the setup to this game, we were so focused on the rankings and what if Texas loses and it's 3 losses versus a 2-loss team. We've been right up against the tree. This is kind of taking a step back to look at a particular forest. And let me tell you, Ketch, if Texas is down in the second half of this game, somebody's going to dig that stat up. Hey, what's Sark against top 5s? What's Sark? You're going to see these numbers if it's going bad on Saturday.
So the good news. There is some good news. So let's lead with the good news.
Absolutely.
Sark's record all time against top 25 teams is not great.
No.
In fact, historically, against top 25 teams, he currently is 24-34, 414 overall. It's not as high as Heupel, Elko, Joey McGuire, Venables. Like there's a group of guys, and those guys' records aren't great. Sark's isn't great, but it's better at Texas.
Yep.
So at Texas, he's lifted those numbers up, which is that's the good news.
Yep. And that's what we talked about when he took the job was, trying to figure out how to get Texas back, but get himself back to a certain level. And those were numbers to watch. That one has gotten slightly better.
And so like his record at Texas, this is the best way to say it. Pre-Texas, he was 24-34. Excuse me. Pre-Texas, he was 10-21.
Mm-hmm.
At Texas, he's 14-13.
Yeah.
So that's actually that's 11 games under to 1 game over.
Yeah.
When you look at top 10 teams, he came into his Texas career with a 4-9 record. And at Texas, he has a 5-8 record. So 1 game better. And then you look at the top 5 record. And prior to Texas, he was 1-6. And at Texas, he's 1-6.
Yeah, that's the one.
And historically, the top 5 and the top 10 numbers aren't great. That when you look at those numbers in the context of the rest of the best coaches in the country, it needs to be a lot better. And I think that, when we talk about this current Texas program, it is through the prism of winning national championships, not being a top 25 team, not even really being a top 10 team. This place is about how does Texas get to win a national championship? It's very NFL-like in that the goal's the Super Bowl. It's
right.
Like, yeah, but you guys might win the
Yeah, this is the
division.
This is the yacht analogy where there are only a couple of yachts in the harbor bigger than Sark's. Sark's yacht is really impressive. There's a couple that can roll by, though.
It's like trying to get the Patriots fans excited because they're winning the AFC East.
Exactly. It's that. And
it's like they judge their seasons a little differently around there. And look, Cowboy fans we don't care about NFC East.
Right. Actually, yeah.
I do not. It actually pisses me off if we win the division because it's such an empty thing.
Yeah. Come on, Catch. You've never seen the Cowboys win the division and then let you down. Never mind. Never
Too many times, Chad.
Never mind.
So yeah, I think that I told somebody, I actually have told a couple of people on the message board this. It's not a thing. What we're talking about right now, most people have never even heard before, I don't think. And I'm going to say this again. If the Texas SID hadn't put it in front of my face, I wouldn't have noticed it either. We had a conversation earlier today, Chad and I, where we're like, what are we going to talk about today? Oh, no, it's a Wednesday show.
Yeah. This proves we're kindred spirits, by the way. The only other person besides me that I know that would keep that number somewhere literally in a pile of papers right over here. I got Sark versus ranked teams. And when I saw that you were going into it, I was like, oh my God, Catch is digging in. Look out.
So it's not a thing yet, but it's a thing that could become a thing pretty quickly. I think that's the entire moral of the story of this video and kind of the deal is like, hey, nobody really makes a big deal about this yet. But I've even heard Texas, I've never written this before. It doesn't really bother me. The sample size is pretty small as far as I'm concerned. But there is a growing sentiment among Texas fans who are like, hasn't beaten Kirby, hasn't beaten DeBoer, hasn't beaten Day.
Yeah.
And those are the contemporaries, really.
Yeah.
And if you turn around and say, well, he beat Nick Saban in Tuscaloosa, he's gone. He doesn't matter anymore. It's a weird, his one is a hell of a one.
Yeah. And it's both the Bama games were against Saban. There's a TCU game in there, and that's kind of not relevant anymore for multiple reasons. Patterson's not there, not same conference, all that. But then it's the ones you mentioned, right? It's the guy he lost to at Washington that's now at Bama that could be in the way, and then those other two obvious ones.
if part of Saturday is the underdog loses to the favorite, it'll be the third straight. I guess, the thing we should do is call Georgia fans. I can call up any of my old Georgia people and go, hey, out of curiosity, at what point did they start keeping score on Kirby's record against Nick?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what we're talking about, right? It also, we referenced this maybe last week, maybe earlier this week. I get the days mixed up, but we talked about, and I can't even remember the full context, but we talked about when the Texas-Oklahoma thing started with Mac Brown.
Yeah.
It started with a blowout.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the 2001 game with the Roy Williams Superman play, as soon as that was over, it was 2, and it felt like we were in a thing.
Yeah, I can give you a guess on the Georgia thing, because remember when the Nick Saban coaching tree stat existed? Remember when everybody that had become a head coach that was under Nick Saban, none of them could beat him.
None of them had a win. Yep.
It went to 0-21, 0-22, 0-23. I think it got up to like an 0-23, 24. And then Kirby and Jimbo got him in the same year. And I think it was 2021. So my guess would be that they were reminding Kirby about that until about that time. Because then 21 and 22, he wins the title.
Yeah.
So once he got over the mountain, oh boy, he got over the mountain.
I'm talking about when's the first time Kirby Smart heard, or someone on a Georgia website said, man, Kirby's 0-3 against Nick. What the fuck?
I bet it was 2019-ish, because he took over in 2016. That means he would, but also remember, they didn't play every year, right?
Yeah.
The SEC hit them away from each other.
That's true. It's not like it's an annual.
It wasn't an annual. So there's that little tricky part of it where the Aggies would have played them every single year. So Jimbo had to deal with it every single year until he figured it out. Georgia didn't necessarily have to. But I would guess it's right around that 18, 19, 3 years in for Kirby. And it's like, hey, are you going to, figure this out? And then he does.
Chad, the thing is, there's like a defensiveness. And look, someone earlier today called me defensive. And it was like, well, you literally can't defend anything without being defensive by the near definition of the word. So if I now respond to you and then you respond to me, aren't you defensive because you're defending? You know what I mean? It's like we do this weird thing where we make the word defend negative connotations, and yet doesn't it always seem negative to me? Like we like our teams to have good defenses. I don't know why defensive is such a bad word.
Look at that number. Is that real? Good job, Chris Bennett, if that's real. Is it really 1-7?
What are we looking at here?
Kirby against Bama.
Woo!
1-7. My goodness.
I'm telling you, we got to reach out to the Georgia peeps this week and just be like, hey, when did it become an annual updated deal when they played? Where it was he's 0-3 against Nick. Got a nip, and then he's 0-4. And then he's 0-5. And then
so it's part of it. They discuss it, I'm sure. Because remember, again, when those two play, it's been rare regular season. It's always been either Atlanta for the SEC title or play in the game, right? Play in it was a natty that
2 years.
Was it a natty that year, or was it when they beat them? Yeah.
So, the thing is, when you like Texas, this again, the first time I heard this was on a Texas message board where it's like, well, he hasn't beaten these guys. And then my initial response was, well, yeah, but he beat Nick Saban. Like that does count, right?
Yeah, sure.
And it reminded me very much of the way Texas fans would be dismissive of anything that happened against Bob Stoops pre-63-14.
Mm-hmm.
98, 99 didn't happen.
Yeah, they didn't want to give Mac any credit for the Ricky game or that great comeback.
Or beating Stoops in the first time that they played each other. It was just, he is owned by Bob Stoops. Yeah. And it was like, well, it's been a couple of games. And it was like, no, it became a narrative. And then Texas played into the narrative. It became a thing that the players would talk about in the offseason where it was like, got to prove that we can beat Oklahoma because it's the only thing that – it was like, well, you guys – you were on the team that beat them. What are you talking about? You've literally beaten OU before. But it was like everybody lost their heads. I think it's a fan base that because when you think about it, the Kirby games, other than the one in Austin, well, all those games have meant something.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, the Texas may not make the playoffs this year, and if it doesn't, it will be because they couldn't beat Ryan Day. And so it is the thing on his resume as a coach because he's such a great program builder. He's had so much success at Texas. In fact, I don't think anybody's beaten more ranked teams, and I think someone had this on Orange Bloods. I don't think anybody's beaten more ranked teams in the last 3 years than Texas has or Sark has.
Okay.
It's the record against top 5 and top 10 teams that really does feel like a final frontier for him. This weekend is one of these games. The stakes of this game we've talked about at length. This, I think, is – well, let me ask you this. They lose this game. When's the next game like this that they play?
I mean,
next year against Ohio State?
In terms of stakes you're talking about to have stakes for them. Because obviously they're going to theoretically play
get a really top 5 opponent, right? But there might be another top 5 opponent coming, but they would have lost 3 games, so it feels different. So, but I don't think anybody will think of Elko as in the group. I think Texas fans do this weird thing where they select who in the group counts and who doesn't.
If you're asking it about a coaching matchup, then yes, it's coming next. That would be next year at that point. Against
this new group of coaches that only get to count because he doesn't have a win against them yet. But, I mean, look, to be fair, his one win is against that. And it's weird to think that that's the only big, real monster game that they've won is that one in Tuscaloosa because it seems like they've just been in a lot of big games, and they have.
By the way, Catch, multiple people in the chat thought exactly what I did. Chad says, no, it'll be because we lost to Florida. That could be.
Those two things aren't mutually exclusive from each other.
Right. But you said it would boil down to the fact that they lost to Ryan Day.
Well, if they don't play Ohio State, even with the Florida loss right now, they're 5th or 6th in the country. And there's almost no way they could play their way out.
Right.
If they win 1 of 2 of these last 3 games.
Right. But with the games they have played, the committee might tell us, no, it's because they couldn't beat Billy Napier.
Well, I literally did a show last night where I was saying all of these preseason top 5, 10 matchups in non-conference, it's a fool's errand to run them. Not backing down now.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. By the way,
again next year if you think I'm wrong, and take that chance.
If you guys want to give us a super chat, we will definitely take those. Also, got to thank some of our great partners around here. We like to send you to great places like Taste on Main. They got this great outdoor seating area with the cool weather here, and you get the right day. It's perfect out there. They've got those East Coast oysters. They only serve East Coast oysters, and it is just a badass steakhouse. Some of the best steak I've ever had. The drinks are great, and it's a wonderful atmosphere. These are the same folks that do Hayes City Store, so check them out. Taste on Main. They also have a brunch Saturdays and Sundays, 10 to 3. It is always a good time out there at Taste on Main. So if you go out there, tell them you heard about it here on Orange Bloods Live, and go see them at Taste on Main. I didn't see any super chats. There is one very nerdy question about the playoffs. So I'm going to save that in case.
I was about to ask you something about the playoffs. So
it's a nerdy one on that side. Just real quick, Catch. I dug inside of these 7 games, the top 5 matchup games. And if the trends are interesting, then here's the one I'll throw out to you. In none of the games has Sark had a lead or even been tied going into the 4th quarter. None of them. Even in the game he won against Bama, he did not have a lead going into the 4th. That's something to keep in mind. Only twice have they won the rushing battle. Only twice in 7 games have they scored first. Only twice have they led at the half in 7 games. And if you just want to talk about Georgia, they lost rushing both times. They lost turnovers both times. They didn't win time of possession either time. They didn't lead after the 3rd quarter. And their 3rd down numbers, Catch, against Georgia were 33% and 13%.
Look, if we're gonna like just dig into the numbers again real quick, can I make a confession?
Sure.
Because there is one element of this that we haven't talked about yet. I think the thing that made me decide, and if you'll know, I think I put this in the team's chat.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at David McWilliams' record.
That did get you. I could tell. I could tell the David McWilliams number stopped you in your tracks because you weren't planning on Sark and David McWilliams being near each other on a list.
Look, I don't think most viewers, they're probably, I would say the majority of our viewers right now do not know that David McWilliams was once a head football coach at the University of Texas.
Probably not.
You know, I mean, anybody under the age of 30, maybe it's kind of an obscure name, but Chad and I are old. We literally will do a segment tomorrow with a guy that played with David McWilliams.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, we know who David McWilliams was, but when David McWilliams stopped being the coach at Texas, he just stopped being the coach anywhere. Yeah. And he ended up losing his job at Texas in part because he didn't win enough big games. Kind of like he just...
So what's the number that got you?
Well, his overall record against teams in the top 25 is higher than Steve Sarkisian's, his career record.
Wow.
And then his record against top 10 teams is kind of significantly better than Steve Sarkisian's. And then his record against top 5 teams is significantly better. David McWilliams, 3-4 in games against top 5 teams for a .429 winning percentage. Sarkisian's is at 143.
And 1-6, yeah.
So McWilliams has won more games in 7 tries than Sark has in 14 tries. And so just looking at the McWilliams stuff, then I thought to myself, what does it look like against the rest of the Texas coaches? I looked that up.
There you go.
And the coach with the best all-time record, not at Texas, just career record against top 25 teams, Tom Herman.
Tommy. Yeah. Lay in tile, baby.
Clap for Tom Herman.
Lay in tile. That, you know what? That's worth a double. Oh, never mind. Go ahead.
Texas head coach with the best career record against top 10 teams, Fred Akers.
Freddie. Come on.
18-1, right at 500 on the smack.
Yeah.
Not bad, Fred Akers.
Go ahead, Ake.
Darrell Royal, for those keeping score at home, just below that. He was 19-21-2, 476. Head coaches, former Texas head coaches or current, all-time record against top 5 teams. Third place, Darrell Royal, 475. Second place, Fred Akers, 559. By the way, Fred, that's really freaking good.
Come on, coach.
But who can stop the Tom Herman Express?
Yeah.
3-2 all-time against top 5 ranked teams.
Bam.
I don't even know what to say.
You know what? You do that, you should probably be able to double flip off a TV station and headbutt players. Am I right? Well,
Tom Herman right now is watching this video and he's doing the Leonardo DiCaprio he's doing the meme where he's pointing at the TV. Ooh, I know. Yes.
They're talking about me. The truth.
Once upon a time in Hollywood. I know that. That's me. So yeah, I'm good. Like, I didn't need to mention that though. Like, in the context of even Texas head coaches, like, Sark's just got to start winning more of these games.
Yeah, no doubt.
Not all of the games, but it is exactly like one of the games that's being played on Saturday night.
No doubt. And if you want to come watch that game with us, come to TCH Social Austin. It is going to be up on that giant screen, and the specials are back, including the $3 jellyfish. That's the one I'll take advantage of. Come on out and see us, and make sure you get piled into the post-game show. We might go with the 2-minute warning. You got to hope we go with the 2-minute warning because that usually is good news for Texas. Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm will sponsor it either way, and we'll get you all the info. Anwar will check in live from Athens on whatever happens in the game after Sark talks to the media. So come on out and see us at TCH Social Austin. It is always a good time. 183 and Anderson Mill.
Can I just say one more thing?
Mm-hmm.
This record against top 5 teams before we move on, because I do want to ask you a question about the playoff window. We have a super chat. It's kind of crazy that of the all-time best records against top 5 teams, do we count Urban Meyer as a current, like in the current era?
Yes. In the current era, sure.
He would fall into the category of even of these new coaches. Urban's still recent enough that he's not from a bygone era, right?
Yeah, he won a title after Saban would have won one of his. Okay. So yes.
So 5 of the top 10 coaches all time are from the new era. 4 of them active. I guess that would be the way to say it, and maybe not 4 because Nick just left, although there seem to be whispers that does Nick have the itch to coach again? But you got, this is crazy. Against top 5 teams, Kellen DeBoer is 4-1 all time against top 5 teams.
It's a good number.
Alabama fans wanted to run him out of town.
Good number. Good number.
Marcus Freeman is tied for 4th at 3-1. Urban Meyer's 14-5, 6th place. And then Nick Saban and Kirby Smart are tied at 9th place. They have the exact same winning percentage, 0.615.
Interesting.
So all of the, you know what I mean? Like,
it's current stuff, yeah.
Sark's contemporaries are on that list. And I think that also, you know, if Kirby's beaten Sark, but he's just lost to everybody else. But no, like Kirby's got some L's obviously against Nick on there, but he's got more wins than losses, and that matters.
All right, that other chat's just a regular one, but this one is a super chat. Thank you, Longview Luan 999. Luhan. My bad. Luhan gave us the pronunciation too. I can't convince myself that UT can play efficiently and not be overwhelmed in that environment. As well, that Sark can out-coach Smart in enchiladas we trust.
Lean into what's worked. And I just want to apologize that Michelle and I didn't figure out the enchilada thing before the Florida game. It took the Florida game to realize we needed to take matters into our own hands. By the way, Michelle, if you're watching, I saw your text message from yesterday. Apologies. I'm bad that way sometimes. Ask Chad.
Nah.
Don't take offense. I will connect with you. We'll figure out the enchiladas thing. We're going to go to Houston, though, I think.
You going? El Gallo?
I don't know. Like, maybe. Like, I don't have anything better than that right now.
Okay. I like the word, and that's the word Sark kept using about efficiency and play efficiently or whatever. I mean, looking at these games, here's a good efficient number. Luhan to watch in the game. Catch, of the 7 games against top 5 teams, Sark has only won the turnover battle one time. The game against Bama that he won.
Okay.
That's it. They were plus 2 that
things
day.
Are easy, right? You start looking at number of run game carries and things like that. And
yeah, it's just, yeah, you know me. Sometimes I just look up the basic stuff, and that's it. Here's what he did in that Bama game in Austin. They scored first. They were plus 2 in turnovers.
In Austin or Tuscaloosa?
The one in Austin. I'm sorry, in Tuscaloosa. You're right. Sorry, the Tuscaloosa win. My bad. They were plus 2 in turnovers. Key on the road. They led at the half. They won time of possession, and they had a 39% third down rate, which is actually the highest in all of these games. Think of that. He's never had 40% on third down in any of these games. Like, the efficiency part, it's a great word to bring up. They're not efficient in terms of turnovers. They don't convert third downs, and I've put that out as a massive need in this game because that's how Bama beat Georgia. Bama converted enough third downs that it scared Georgia, and Kirby flipped out, didn't take that field goal, and Bama made him pay. I'll keep saying it. That's what Texas has to do. You got to move the ball. You don't have to do crazy time of possession, but you've got to do a little bit of what Bama did. Thank you for that super chat, though. I like that question. All right, Catch, you said you had a question for me on the playoff. Let's just throw this one out real quick, maybe to get the juices flowing. Explain, says Jeremy, how a 9-3 Texas gets in over a 10-2 Miami that is not the ACC champion. Miami beat Florida and will have one fewer loss. They would have also beaten Notre Dame.
Well, it would be close, I think. I mean, that would be those are the types of conversations that we're having. I don't think the committee has showed Miami a lot of respect. mean, even as of a week ago, they were the 4th ranked, I think, highest ACC team behind Georgia Tech, Virginia, and Louisville.
How about that correction this week, though? Boy, did they correct. And the executive director wouldn't admit to it. Reese Davis asked the question perfectly, but he avoided it. But that's what we just saw, Catch. They overcorrected one way, and they just swung it back up with Miami going up to 15.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's something to keep an eye on. I think at the end of the day, I just don't think the ACC has any credibility right now. So I don't know how that conference and they're not likely done cannibalizing each other. And the fact that 10-2 that Miami wouldn't be able to play their way into the ACC championship game is kind of the problem. They're not above the riffraff of teams that we just don't really respect. That a week ago they tried to respect them. And those teams did not pay that off. And I think that, I think in retrospect, they probably would have had they should have had those 1-loss teams from the ACC rightfully behind the glut of 2-loss teams that were behind them, that they're now all behind, right? Like, we know they should have been behind USC, should have been behind Michigan, should have been behind Vanderbilt, but the committee was trying to tell us having fewer losses still makes a hell of a lot of difference. And then those teams reminded us, not really, actually. Not really. You're either good or you're not. And I think that the problem that Miami will have is I don't think anybody has thought that they're good in a while. Kind of as simple as that.
Yeah. And just to show you the mess of the ACC, Catch, I was looking up all kinds of wacky tiebreakers in the ACC, and they don't involve Miami because Miami already has 2 conference losses. So I've just been looking at the undefeated or 1 conference loss team. There's so much above them that's just a mess in the ACC. Everything's just getting pushed down. It does feel like they're a 1-conference or 1-team conference in a way, but Miami's the thing that could mess that up. If they just keep winning, it'll be interesting to see what the committee wants to do with them.
Maybe. Yeah. I think, though, that, again, the one thing Texas has in its hip pocket, if it can get to 9-3, is a win over a top 5 team. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, there's a lot of things that can impact all of this. Game day is going to be in Pittsburgh, and I'm kind of dismissive of Notre Dame's chances of losing at Pitt. I don't know why. It seems like a perfectly reasonable time of the season for Notre Dame, who I don't know is that good really, could lose a game. I don't know. It's possible, but the trickle down of what all of those things would mean, including to Jeremy's question right here, right? Where it's like, well, Miami's best win would be over the Notre Dame team. But what if that win's not as good as it looks on paper right now? And Texas can get themselves into a position with either a win against Georgia or Texas A&M, where their resume of either of those 2 teams, along with Oklahoma and Vanderbilt, is stronger than anything that Miami has. Miami would have one of those types of wins, but Texas would have more of them. Then it would come down to, what is the committee going to prioritize? Is it the team with the best positive resume? I think advantage Texas. Are we not going to punish the team that's scheduled difficult? Now, look, Miami gets a boost up because they played Notre Dame in that type of a game, but you said you wouldn't punish Texas for winning it. There's a clash of ideas and statements kind of going on there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm convinced that Miami is a poison pill, but you could talk me into them potentially being one, but man, it's tricky.
Yeah. Also, not that this matters, but just a detail here. In the case of the Notre Dame game for them and the Ohio State game for Texas, one of those teams chooses that game. The other actually does not. Because remember, the ACC has that agreement with Notre Dame. So Miami doesn't choose to play Notre Dame, but Texas does choose to play Ohio State. That's just a stupid detail. Committee wouldn't care, but you do wonder how they would look at those 2 games. I see that super chat, and we will get to it. Thanks to y'all for jumping in the Specs chat. Let's hear a little bit from Specs, shall we?
When fall's chill hits the air, raise a glass with cash to spare. Specs can fill those longer nights with fancy cheese and wine flights. Camp is set and the night is young? Grab a brewski, time for fun. Game day underway? Specs delivers. It's a great day. Picnic in the park. Perfect pairing for the heart. Stock up and save on seasonal cheer. Because when you shop at Specs, the fun starts here.
Here's to you, shout cheers to savings.
I'm just going to say bravo on the picnic image. My favorite part of that spot. All right. Super chat from Craig with a 5 spot. Texas needs to drop the Ohio State game ASAP and take a page from Georgia. Georgia to open the 26th season against Tennessee State.
Hey, man. I know what there will be people in the chat right now who were like, pussies, you just scared. No. It is about what is the smartest thing to do. What is the best strategic decision that you can possibly make? And why would you ever volunteer for anything less than that? And I'm sorry, you can't convince me based on everything that we know so far that scheduling that Ohio State game is a positive for Texas.
Yeah. Catch, you remember the people that after A&M went to the SEC, they wanted Texas and Texas A&M to play every single year anyway. But that would have been dumb for both teams.
Yeah.
In this discussion, I wanted it to happen, but I'm stupid. I just love the game. But in terms of what was smart for each team, it made no sense, either side, to say, yeah, let's lock that game in every year.
Well, I think Anwar made a really good point. These games last night when we had the reaction to the playoffs, check that video out. I think it was really good. Those games were scheduled when Texas was playing in a Big 12 at a time, when A&M had left, Nebraska had left. It was a conference where your home schedule was Baylor, Tech, Kansas. There wasn't a lot of meat on the bone, so they were having to juice up the non-conference to give fans a reason to want season tickets.
Yep.
And now you don't need that. And now it is actually, if it's a win, it's a feather in your cap. But you know what? It ain't such a big feather in the cap for Miami that it's the end-all, be-all trump card for them against Texas.
Yeah. And occasionally, Craig, to your point about, Georgia's had those games against Clemson to start the year. They had a couple of those. I really like that game from just a fan standpoint. But a lot of times we have
pre-12 team tournament.
That was right. And what we have seen a lot of seasons where they had the 4 non-conference, where a team like Georgia, Ole Miss has done this a lot too. They'll just schedule 4 nobodies.
Well, and know that if you win the SEC championship, you're not getting left out of a 4-team playoff. So, you could schedule Clemson and justify that type of game.
The other thing to keep in mind with Georgia moving forward, think about Georgia. They'll be asked to play 9 SEC games, a 10th game against a power team. The question will become, Catch, are they going to start counting that Georgia Tech game as just a permanent Power 4?
I was thinking the same thing.
And then give them 2 freebies? That's probably what they should do, right? They just say to the NCAA, like, y'all let us do that, right? South Carolina and, Clemson will do the same thing and just roll out. And then you still get your 2 freebies and you can call Mercer or Western Carolina if you want. That's probably what they'll do moving forward. All right, Catch. I know you have some buy or sell racked up, but you said you also had a question about the playoff for me.
What was just real quick, because the answer to this question for me is a yes, and I can go through it quickly. But was there anything new the next day that, upon further thought, you a new thought about the playoffs that came out last night?
A new thought.
We did almost an hour last night of reaction, which is one of the reasons why we haven't gone really in depth on it today. We did that literally last night. Can I just tell you mine? I guess. I think the committee did the most man thing ever. And I think it's something that we need to keep an eye on. The whole they couldn't punish BYU properly because they boxed themselves in with where they had Utah ranked was a test for this committee to go. And I think we would all understand it if they said, you know what? After every weekend, we reshuffle the pieces after all of the events from the weekend, and then we rebuild the list instead. Because if you were to tell people that, you could kind of instinctively say, hey, there might be some fluidity. We might see something through the prism next week that we hadn't quite looked at, because we've been talking about Sark versus top 5 teams, right? Maybe after this weekend, they look at Texas through a newfound prism where they're like, well, they beat, I don't know, just kind of types of things that we're talking about. The committee could just say, we messed up and we think this is best. Instead, it didn't actually punish BYU at all. That is the most slap on the wrist penalty for getting your ass dominated in a game that A, the entire country watched, but B, the entire country doesn't even know whether they should respect either team. To get dump trucked like they did and to only fall a couple of spots because Utah was there tells us a lot about this committee. This committee will not say in front of everybody, we got it wrong last week. They will lean into mistakes that they've made rather than leaning into corrections to the mistakes that they've made. And I think the BYU thing that just happened is a real concern because you can look, and you talked about what they did with Miami, right? Really quietly, they may be positioning Miami there.
Yeah.
But like, we're not necessarily paying attention to that.
Yeah.
The Utah thing for me is, why is Utah where Utah is?
Right. With what they have 2 losses, right?
They have 2 losses.
Yeah.
One of them is the BYU, but they couldn't rank.
And the other's Tech. That was a meeting of the 2 teams that beat Utah last week.
It doesn't make any sense that Utah is being rewarded for no real reason at all, but because last week they had them ranked in a certain spot and then they didn't lose. Remember we talked about it last night. They couldn't move them back.
Yeah, because they got mind melded on, well, wait a minute, that's only 1 loss for BYU and it's 2 losses for Utah. We can't move them past them. I would have told them, yes, you can. Just move them 2 spots past them or more. Then you can argue that they're not comparable teams. They love that phrasing. They're not comparable teams. If you move them 3 spots down, just say, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It was such a bad loss. And that's how you would explain it.
I cannot get over. When Texas lost at Ohio State, there was an overreaction to how far they should fall in the polls. We've seen them lose to Florida and fall out of the polls. To see Texas Tech humiliate BYU, I literally have no desire to see a BYU game the rest of the year after having seen that game. Tech, I kind of want to see more of Tech. Yeah. BYU, I'm good. To put a performance on the table that's so bad that you're like, I'll be honest, like, you're really going to make me watch? I was made to watch them last weekend, and they failed the test. To them not get punished really at all is like, if I'm sitting with the committee, forget about everything else. How's BYU not falling 8 spots? How bad did they have to lose in retrospect for Utah and them to fall back? What would it have taken? Because I thought it took it. I thought they received that beatdown on Saturday. You're telling me Herb Dean needed to officiate the fight and that we just should have let Tech throw a couple haymakers for fun?
10 more and then I'll call it.
Is that what you're telling us?
I need to see 10 more punches. Yeah. Well,
we're all like, throw the towel. And Herb's like, I don't know. He's still breathing.
But Catch, you can see their logic in a way because they know they would have been in trouble if they send BYU into that sea of 2 lost teams, Utah, Vandy, Miami. Now, Georgia Tech would be interesting. Georgia Tech's at 1 loss down there at 16.
There's just no reason for them to be ahead of some of these 2 loss teams other than they only have 1 loss, but they haven't beaten anybody to accumulate those wins. So I just don't know where this street cred is coming from.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're not using some of the metrics we've seen used in the past, and I think that's what people might have to get used to a little bit.
Because you don't have to like Texas, but Texas is able to say, well, we beat this team and this team, and like, who else has got wins that good? And you're like, good point. It's a good point. If you look at BYU and you're like, well, what did they do? Well, they beat Utah. Okay, well, who's Utah beaten and played? And you're like,
Right.
well, they lost to Tech and BYU.
And
It's like, well, that's
BYU.
not what I asked you. Like, why would I care about Utah? It's like, oh, because they've won all their games other than those 2 games. It's like,
Yeah, you got honestly a team that might have an argument with those. The one that's right below them is Vandy. Think about Vandy's 2 losses. They're pretty impressive losses if you want them.
I would argue that like we just had the Miami versus Texas conversation, right?
Yeah.
Why the hell's Miami behind BYU?
Yeah, no, that's fair. Miami's got an argument, but then and Vandy, right? Vandy would have lost to your number 10 team, and who's the other Vandy loss? It's Georgia or Bama. It's Bama,
Yeah,
right?
lost to Bama. Pretty.
Yeah. Okay, you lost to the 4 and the 10. That's Vandy screaming. Wait a minute, why are BYU and Utah above us?
I'm saying, like, it's because they could not admit that the previous week they had one team ranked too high. And I'm not talking about BYU. I'm talking about Utah. They found themselves in a position where they were like, well, Utah didn't even play and they didn't lose. Can't really punish them, can we? No, we're big boys. The rankings change.
Yeah, not willing to make that move. Jay, I see your super chat. Frankly, I think it's a little insensitive. We'll get to it quickly here in a second.
I have not seen it, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's a little bit. I'll put it up because it's a super chat. We'll probably take it down quick, but it does speak to the Sark conversation. All right. Real quick, though, let me talk AV consultations and what they can do for you. If you need a great setup, if you need a bigger screen, this is your place. If you're watching Texas and Georgia at your house and you know you need a bigger screen, this is the place. 255-8678. They've been doing it since 1988. Hard to believe it, but yes, 37 years, locally owned and operated. Let them handle every detail, including buying that new TV, or maybe it's multiple screens that you've always wanted. Get that family movie room that you've dreamed of for Christmas for everybody this year. 255-8678 or go to avconsultations.com. Tell them you heard about it here on Orange Bloods Live. We would appreciate it very much. All right, Catch. It's essentially a Sark alcohol comment, so I'm just going to throw it up real quick. Is it fair to think of Sark's coaching career in 2 separate parts that should be judged differently, pre and post? Let me just leave it there. That wasn't the stat that was being looked up, Jay. Are you the head coach or are you not the head coach? He's the head coach. That's it.
Now, let's go buy or sell.
Yeah. All right. You want to go first or second?
Oh, man. Just for the record, I'm reading Jalen's hoops preview for tonight.
Yeah.
And he just called Texas's opponent FDU. I was like, I don't know who that is.
Fairleigh Dickinson?
But I just saw it and I was like, oh, Fairleigh Dickinson. But like, it wasn't until I saw it that I actually knew who FDU was.
Yeah.
That one got me. I don't know that I don't get got many times with the abbreviations, but that one I had no idea. Okay.
Yeah. Fair enough. First or second?
I'll go first today.
All right.
Buy or sell number 1. There will be a surprise on tonight's Texas injury report.
I'm going to sell. I think everything will be clear. That comment on Monday just felt very confident, and those guys had practiced everything. I don't think we'll see a surprise.
Buy or sell number 2. Arch Manning throws for 2 or more touchdowns this weekend. Touchdown passes, throws.
2 or more. Yes, buy. 2 or more touchdown passes. They're going to have to do it through the air. I'm not quite sure, how dynamic that run game can be in terms of rushing touchdowns. So it's going to need to be Arch. He's got to outperform Stockton or they lose. So I'm going to buy.
Or possibly lose bad if Arch doesn't play well. They have to have that.
Yep, got to have it.
Buy or sell number 3. Steve Sarkisian will get his record against top 10 opponents eventually over 500, but not his record against top 5s.
Yeah, what's the top 10? Give me that top 10 record again.
Oh, Jesus. I'm not looking at it. Hold on.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. No problem. We'll get it. It feels like a buy. 1-6 is a tough place to start. Not that that's the very start of it, but that's tough. And just the amount of times you play top 5s, He'll get opportunities maybe coming up, but I don't know that he gets enough wins where he takes it all the way to a winning record. So
yeah, it's kind of
what
it's a tough road to kind of overcome. It's like you almost have to get on a heater.
Right. So I'll buy it. It's a tough thing to do to say, yeah, no, he'll win 4 or 5 in a row against the top 5. That's just hard to do. I'll buy it.
Buy or sell number 4. One of Michael Taft or Jelani McDonald will have an interception against Gunnar Stockton.
Ooh, I just like the thought of that one. So I'll buy it and I'll say the club gets it done. Taft with a club still pulls it off. Tips it to himself.
What if I gave you $100 and said you had to make a bet and you're getting 10-1 on either side? If there's money involved, you still taking Taft and McDonald?
Nah, if there's money involved, trying to predict turnovers like that is tough. I'd stay away from it on that. But I like the idea of Taft doing it.
So you buy unless you actually have to buy.
Exactly. Lowercase b if you stay out of my wallet. Yes.
Okay, maybe that's these questions forevermore have to be for $500. Buy or sell number 5. The Aggies are receiving just the right amount of respect from the playoff committee.
Overall, I think it's a buy. And there's another element that we haven't discussed yet. My big reaction to the committee as you were talking, and there's something else we could talk about, but the way they're seeing football right now, I kind of like it. And I think they're being fair to the Aggies about what we're seeing, what we're not seeing, the schedule, who they're facing, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to say this is a buy.
Okay. Those are my 5.
Yeah. And by the way, Jay, just to clarify, insensitive, that's the nice way to say it. Jay, the nice way to say it would be, considering the personal stuff in the early part of his career, do you need to consider it a 2-part issue? You put the word booze in it twice. Don't argue for sensitivity there. I mean, come on. We gotta call it. We gotta call it what it is. We love you, Jay. You're one of our favorite chatters, but come on. All right, Catch, buy or sell number 1. The Sark numbers you looked up last night have you leaning Georgia on Saturday.
Sell. I was already leaning Georgia on Saturday. Like I'm picking Georgia on Saturday. So no, it really didn't impact my way of thinking about the game at all. It had me more thinking about after the game more than anything else.
Okay. Catch, buy or sell number 2. The SEC title game won't contain A&M. Buy or sell?
I'm going to go buy just because you and I had a conversation earlier where you were talking about that there's maybe not a tiebreaker situation that they can win if they lose against Texas. So I'll go buy based on that one conversation alone, and that you didn't tell me you found a loophole. So did you find a loophole?
It's interesting. Here's the one loophole I found. A 1-loss A&M gets to Atlanta if they're in a tiebreaker with Bama, who lost to Auburn. Wow. That tiebreaker they'd win. But the other version, and I think in that situation, they would also need Texas to lose to Georgia or Arkansas. Because,
I don't care.
These are the kind of things I look up and keep in, because I know at some point at TCU.
God, I immediately regretted that decision.
You did, but here's my struggle. On one of these shows or at TCH Social Austin, one of those nerd questions is going to come up and y'all are all going to turn to me. And if I don't know, you're going to make fun of me. True or false?
True.
True, exactly. So I got to be ready. Catch, buy or sell number 3. Texas fans should root for Minnesota, Iowa, Northwestern, and Pitt this week.
I don't even know who all those teams are playing other than Pitt, but sure, why not? Buy.
I'll be glad to tell you why. Because Minnesota plays Oregon, Iowa plays USC, Northwestern plays Michigan, and Pitt plays Notre Dame. All of those losses would help Texas. Any of those losses would help Texas. So root for all those teams. Catch, let's go to the one of the other big games. Bama beats OU by 14+. Buy or sell?
Sell. OU will keep it closer than that.
Keep it closer. Okay. And finally, Notre Dame wins out and takes the CFP spot. Buy or sell?
Buy. I do think that's going to happen.
They are really on a nice little run.
They've won 7 straight games by all double figures. Like they're playing.
Yep.
Not a lot of like big time teams, but we've seen Texas play bad teams and play down teams. Notre Dame has played up to a level for a couple of months in a row now. And you know what? Like, and here's the other thing. I'm going to have to give Mr. Freeman some credit. Like, there's more street cred built up in what he's doing at Notre Dame than maybe that's what that number made me think more than anything else. Because I tend to look at the Notre Dame teams pretty dismissively, Chad.
Okay.
But they keep winning games. Like, his record against top 5 and top 10 teams is historically good. It's this kind of team that he keeps winning with. So
yeah. Blowing teams away. The run game is the run game. Love is just a beast out of the backfield, run the ball. And yeah, they're putting it together. The eyeball test is interesting. I want to make one comment on that before we close up. Real quick, though, one more great partner to thank here, and it is the folks at Sinus and Snoring Specialists. Y'all know I love them because I like to sleep well. I'm crazy that way. Like to sleep well. I like to breathe normally, and I hate allergy stuff. And I hate the fact that, I would be snoring and keeping my wife awake at night and all that kind of thing. In 2017, this is where I went to get it all taken care of. They've got surgical and non-surgical options that other places just don't have. If you've been struggling with it, if you've been, going through that sinus infection thing and allergy problems, and you're taking medicine every single day for allergies like I used to do, you don't have to. They can get rid of your allergies for good. That's the number, 601-0303. Call them, text them securely there, or go to sinussnoringent.com. Start looking and reading about what they can do for you. They got great videos to give you some info, and then just get in touch with them. Tell them you heard about it here on Orange Bloods Live, and get to breathing better, get to feeling better with Sinus and Snoring Specialists. All right, Catch, one quick comment before we get out of here, based on how I think the committee is looking at things. I think fans should be happy about what I'm going to say. I also see that super chat. We'll get that real quick too. But I think fans should be happy, Catch, that this committee really is doing some eyeball test stuff. But here's two things I heard last night from the executive director. He mentioned that Missouri was playing their third string quarterback. He mentioned that as a factor for the way they judged A&M. And I thought, okay, that's fair. You got to look at the schedule and you got to dig into that. But here's the other one, Catch. We all need to start listening extra carefully to when Rachel Denich speaks on that show, because she's in the room with the committee. They allow her to be in there. And last night, she said that a bad officiating call in an ACC game was discussed as how to rank teams. So there's so many things going on in terms of eyeball test that we need to be paying attention to. The committee's telling us a little, Rachel's giving us added information, and we're finding out that how these games play out really does matter. So that's just I think that's important for fans to know. For all you that hate the analytics, there's a lot of eyeball tests that's now taken over. And I think it's kind of a good thing. All right, this TTOP network, before we get done, $4.99. Buy or sell. Ryan Wingo has another big explosive out of the swing pass and or screen.
I mean, they're certainly going to try to make that happen. I don't know if it's the first play of the game or in that first drive, but at some point during the game, I think the thing that they've realized is like asking Ryan Wingo to be an NFL route runner and also catch the football and kind of be a complete guy. It's not in his wheelhouse just yet. Like, that's not quite who he is yet. So, like, how do you make it easy for him? And then how do you make it easy for Arch? In making it easy for him, it makes it easier for everybody, I think.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, man. I've been calling for those plays early in games all season. I've never understood it. Quite honestly, Chad's now done a couple of these seasons with me where we've done post-game. Like, he knows I'm a big believer in, I don't even care if the offense punts on the first series, but let your quarterback start the game 2 of 2 and just complete a couple of passes. And if the defense stops them, like, that happens sometimes, but at least you come off the field feeling like, well, my quarterback's completed a couple of passes. Let's go. So I like it. I hope we see more of it.
I'm interested to see TTOP Network, what they do off of that play. When I saw it against Vandy, I thought, okay, it won't work in Athens. Twice it's worked. What do you do off of it? And Catch, my idea would be get that swing going out there and then turn to Wisner on a wheel route, the opposite side of the field. See if you can get something on the left side or maybe down the seam that's going the other way. That's what I'd love to see. But I agree with you about getting those guys involved. Quick story from the NFL. Did you see how the Chargers got Keenan Allen their all-time receiving record?
No.
Pop pass. Just ran him right across, pop pass. They were talking about it in the game. They're like, hey, we'd like to do this at home. And he told Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh, hey, just throw me the pop pass. And they both went, oh, that's brilliant, because they know it counts that way. And now he passes Antonio Gates. He got to do it at home on that little bitty
volleyball clap for the Chargers,
right?
and Keenan Allen.
A nothing looking play. And what were those wingo plays? They looked like nothing at the beginning. But like you said, hey, if the defense ain't going to tackle and Vandy didn't show up to tackle, then, hey, you're going to go. You're going to get through it. So it was great. Thank you for that last super chat. We always appreciate it. Catch, are you good? We done?
I'm good.
Thank y'all for liking, subscribing, getting your notifications. We will be back tomorrow for a Thursday show. So Brian Jones of CBS Sports hopefully will join us. Their big time, I'm going to air quote it today, big time game on CBS is Penn State and Michigan State. Whew, I bet they wish they could swap for that USC game. That's a different discussion. We'll talk to Brian about the state of college football and, of course, Texas and Georgia tomorrow. Thank you guys for jumping in.